The King's Queen by Zira Zakingzin. Chapter 7. Aaron's Point of View. Father? Raphael called out quietly as he opened the door to my office. Immediately, I set aside all my work in front of me and gave all my attention to my son. Yes? Raphael approached me with slow steps. He looked cute in his casual clothes. He wore a simple yellow dress shirt, blue shorts, and a straw hat on top of his raven hair. I figured that Levi must have dressed him up for the day. Usually, Raphael will settle with a simple shirt and slacks. I could see how much Levi started to fuss over our son. His mismatched eyes were always focused and observant, taking all the little details around him in. He tended to stare at people a lot, and other people felt uncomfortable with it, but since he was a prince, everyone let him be. That's what I liked about him. In early age, he learned how to address people and trust the people who were truly loyal. But today, Raphael's eyes zoned at me for a good minute. Is there anything you need? I turned my chair towards him so I could face him properly. Mother, he started. He was acting differently. Of course he'll notice. I gave him a small smile and patted his head. He really looked like Levi. The only thing he got from me was his left eye and his build. He may look fragile for now, but his height was exponentially. He went to the treasury, and he was looking at his crown. Really? Levi did ask me this morning about the whereabouts of his crown. He responded that he wanted to check it out. I didn't see any harm in it, but it was a bit odd for the Omega to seek out the treasury. His fingers ghosted over the diamonds on the crown, and his eyes lit up at the sight. Raphael elaborated. I'm not sure what to say. His actions were similar to a thief who had his hands on a precious treasure. What? I gasped. Yes, Raphael was an excellent observer, but I didn't expect him to fall to that conclusion. I heard from Hange that Mother was once a thug in the underground and he stole for a living. That is true, I agreed. Levi's past was not a mystery to anyone. He was a thief in the underground until his relatives tracked him down and turned him into a perfect royalty with proper etiquette and grace. Now that I think about it. Mother was mean in the first place? Raphael asked. Why is he being kind now? I paused, not sure what to say again. This made me question Levi's sudden character change. It could be that my queen was showing that was his true nature, or it was what Hange made him believe was his true nature. There were a lot of questions regarding the queen. I knew that Hange could answer them. Unfortunately, that beta kept avoiding me. She certainly knew what was going on. Well, all questions will be answered if we ask Mother, or if we get to know him. I said instead, I didn't want my son to spend all of his time wondering about this. I'll host a tea party. That's nice. I'll tell John to help you prepare it. I returned to my work. I almost forgot that Raphael had no class or chores, as Levi requested. Therefore, he could do whatever he wanted from now on. Thank you. You're invited, Father. Raphael placed a hand on my thigh, pulling my attention away from my paperwork in front of me. And Mother, too. Okay, I'll surely attend. I smiled at Raphael, signaled to me to lean onto his level, so I did. We'll investigate Mother together. Prepare your questions, he whispered at me. I couldn't help but smile. Levi's point of view. I never thought that in all my years of existence, I'd be able to touch and hold the crown of the Queen of Sina. I remember the time I used to cut out cardboard boxes and turn them into a crown for Isabel and Falcon and myself when we were little. Then things were simple, and we had nothing to worry about in the world as long as we all have our cardboard crowns on our heads. I traced each gem, each diamond with my finger. indulging myself in the feeling of the riches beyond my wildest dreams. This crown, it's mine. I wonder what Isabel and Falcon would say. They would probably think it's too heavy looking and said that the cobalt crowns were much better. I couldn't help but agree. Now that I have the crown in my hands, I realize this is nothing but a piece of heavy junk. It's heavy. I confirmed as I tested it. Wait, can I really wear this? I looked up at the full-body mirror that surrounded the crown's case and placed the crown on my head and stared at my reflection. I blinked. I almost asked myself, who is this person staring back at me? I could feel my heart grow heavy. The person that was staring back at me was a beautiful Omega, with snow-white skin and long raven hair. He wore a robe with the best fabrics in the land, and a crown on his head. This is not right. I took off the crown and stared at my reflection in the gems. I felt like all this time I'm wearing a mask, building up my walls. Maybe that's why my son was not close to me. Maybe that's why my king was not fond of me. Maybe that's why everyone was afraid of me. I returned the crown to its rightful place and left the treasurer asking myself over and over again, Levi, what exactly happened to you? No matter how much I forced myself to remember the days when my relatives took me, I couldn't recall even a single piece of memory. I returned back to our room only to see myself again in the only mirror. The more I looked at myself, the more I felt like I was staring at a complete stranger. What happened to you? No matter how much I asked my reflection, I got no answer. Running my hand through my hair, I felt it took more than a year to go this long. I looked down at my robe. Suddenly, I felt out of place in my own clothes. I looked back at the mirror again and gritted my teeth, deciding to just fuck it. I drew in a deep breath. That no matter how much I looked for the reason why I ended up like this, there was no answer straight away. This is not me. I opened every drawer until I found a pair of scissors and a dagger. I cut my hair to its usual undercut look. I strapped my beautiful right off me and found a simple... I opened every drawer until I found a pair of scissors and a dagger and cut my hair into its usual clean undercut. I then stripped my beautiful dress off and made myself a simple white dress shirt and some pants. I changed my slip-on shoes into boots. I removed my mineral makeup that Hange applied first thing in the morning, and finally, I cut off some of the white fabric from my robe and tied it to a collar that acted like a cheval. I stared back at myself in the mirror, taking a deep breath, feeling the heaviness that was weighing on my heart disappear. Now I can finally breathe. Queen Levi! Hange knocked on my door before coming in. The Crown Princess invited you to a tea party. Hange froze when she saw me. Then she blinked and gasped at the mess in the room. For the first time, I didn't mind the mess. In fact, I'm proud of it. Levi, what happened to you? She asked, eyes wide. I just shrugged. I guess I finally found myself. End of chapter 7.